Creeped up on me here.
How you doing?
Good evening, everybody. Okay, without further ado, we'll call to order the Winnebago County Public Works Committee meeting. Pull up my agenda and my stuff here. Tuesday, March 16th, it's 5 p.m., 5:01 to be exact. And present is myself, Mr. Kelly, Mr. McCarthy, Mr. Gurl, Mr. Webster, Angela Fellers. From the State's Attorney's Office, we have Mr. Gilberti. We have our administrator, Mr. Thompson. And looks like that's everybody that's on here. We'll see who shows up. And with that, I see nobody here signed up or on Zoom for public comment, so we'll forgo that language. And I would first ask for approval of minutes from our February 16th, 2021 and March 2nd, 2021. And I would so move.
Second.
Did we lose Dave?
Looks like he froze up.
Looks like it's frozen.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
All right, I lost you guys again. I can hear the audio, but I have no visual.
Oh, we can't see and hear you, Jen.
And my camera's off.
You can see me?
Yes.
Wow, I can't see none of you guys.
All right, I had a little fail there, and that might happen again or two. But and just for a heads up, I dealt with some issues last time with Zoom and whatnot. But I would just like to forego, Mr. Kelly, if you have the agenda, if I should be absent because of an internet connection, would you please carry on in my absence? And with that, the last thing I think I spoke to was approval of the minutes, and I moved. Any corrections?
Locked up again.
that's where he freezes every time.
Has he got his video on? Just tell him to cut his video. Dave, can you hear us?
Yeah.
And I've got
Yeah, my
agenda
video is
screen.
cut.
So all in favor of approving the minutes?
Hi.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. Dave, you want to take it back again?
Well, absolutely. I'll try, but like I say, I apologize. And I don't know what it is, if it's a Zoom, if it's my internet connection or what. But yeah, I dealt with a little bit of stuff 3 or 4 times last at this board meeting, and then everything straightened out. But I'll carry on. Like I say, I'm sorry for the interruption. Well,
Yeah, the internet infrastructure on our side of the river is old, and when things freeze and frost, it can affect the connection, Dave. So if you turn off your video, you'll have a stronger connection for Zoom.
all right. I guess it's a West Side thing.
The conspiracy.
We'll try that for a minute. Okay, and moving on.
It's just old over here. It's just old. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, and like I say, I could have a handful of things going wrong on my end as well. But okay, moving on, I'll try that. Moving on, our first order of business is some legislation. And it is item 21-005, and it's the awarding of bids for mowing and vegetation control. And the cost is looks like in aggregate, I don't know, $9,600 for mowing, 2021, 2022, and then some weed control and things. And I'd ask Mr. Molina to speak to it if he would, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tassoni. Yes, we do this every 2 or 3 years, and what this is just for mowing the grass and landscape medians that we have. It's a pretty good price. Hopefully the contractor can deliver. This is a new contractor, but he was the low bidder. The contract would be for 2 years, and then if both parties agree in the 3rd year, it can be extended for 1 more year. And again, it's for mowing the grass medians, and also for spraying for weeds on concrete medians, behind guardrails, and things like that.
And just because I know I forgot to do it or didn't happen, I would move that item and ask for a second.
I'll second.
Who
So moved.
seconded?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Webster and Mr. McCarthy. Any discussion on those items or that item?
Is the contractor a local contractor?
Yes, yes, he is local. Or they are local.
Okay, any other questions or comments on that item? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the resolution is approved. Moving on to item 21-006. It's award of bid for the 2021 county general letting. Cost of $1,066,280. And I would add, so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Girl, Mr. Kelly, and ask Mr. Molina if he would give us the detail on that as well.
Right, thank you. This is what we do every year, this time of year, when we go out for bids, and we call it the general letting, and we follow the state regulations, is so that we can use motor fuel tax funds to buy all the materials that we need throughout the year. Things like asphalt, stone, signs, pipe culverts, etc. We, as part of our bid, we also include the townships. So the $1,066,000 that you see here on the agenda, that's only for the county portion, because that's the cost of the county. But again, there's additional dollars there for the townships. This general letting does not include salt or paint, that we use for striping our roads, because we do that separately.
Thank you, Mr. Molina. Anybody got any further detail, questions, comments on that item? Seeing none, I would ask all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Thank you. The item is approved. Third on our agenda is resolution 21-007. It's a resolution authorizing the appropriation of MFT funds for the maintenance of county highways at a cost of $5,234,000 and similar in nature to the last item, but I would so move that. Seconded by Mr. Kelly, and ask Mr. Molina to speak to it, please.
Yeah, thank you. This is the actual form, the resolution that we have to do so that we can use motor fuel tax to maintain our roads. And as you can see, this is for a lot more dollars than the prior resolution, because this includes all the labor. It includes engineering services. When we go out and say hired a tree contractor to knock down some trees, we can use motor fuel tax for that. So that's why the dollar amount is higher. And also for for equipment, etc. So as a reminder, when every time that our guys are working out on the roads, whether it is plowing or patching potholes and things like that, we then charge that to motor fuel tax. So this resolution allows us to do that.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on that item?
I just had a couple questions, if
Go
that's
ahead, Ms.
okay.
Sellers. Yes.
Okay, I had a couple questions. When I'm looking at it, it says, like, for example, it says one culvert or one inlet, and it says each or 30,000, and that we've appropriated only for one. Are we only doing one culvert, or does that just mean each culvert would cost that much? It's the same like as like road striping one, or culvert one, or street lights. There's just one. Can you tell me what that means, or how to read that?
Yeah, good question. What that is, and you're looking at the actual resolution, that's the state BLR 14222. Yeah, that's not one or three or four. That's a category. Like for road striping, that would be like day labor. When our guys go out and do the striping. So it's not just one. It's just a category.
Okay. I was looking under quantity, actually. So the category for a culvert is 3, and then the quantity says 1.
Yeah,
my
Yeah, I'm sorry.
question.
Yeah, it is it's a lump sum item, so it is just, that's why it's
Okay.
just one. Mhm.
Okay,
But to answer
Um,
your question, we have a lot more pipe culverts, and you're gonna go, if you go back to the prior resolution and you see the pipe culverts item, you know, where that's being awarded in the prior resolution, you'll see the amount of culverts that are included.
okay, I just wanted to make sure. My other question is this, so in the capital improvement plan, and this is for everyone, if someone can answer this, in the last capital improvement bill that went through the legislature, there was an allowance for non-home rural counties to raise the MFT 4 cents without referendum. Did we exercise that prior to me coming onto the board?
I can't tell you what we did the last time that referendum came along with that election, but I would ask Mr. Molina as far as where we stand today and what our anticipation is for that item.
Right. What I do know is that there's only four counties in the state of Illinois that are able to do that, and those are the color counties, and to Chicago. Winnebago County is not one of them, so it would have to be passed through the legislation and approved by.
Right. So what I'm saying is that it was passed through the legislation, is that it allowed us to do it, the non-collar counties, it allowed us to do that. In the capital improvement bill that passed and was signed in 2019, or no, 2020. It was May of 2020, I think. And so I just wanted to on that and see if we were participating in that or what our levy was, but I think on it. And then is that something that we should discuss so that we can, with the money that's coming in with COVID, I'd like to see a lot of that spent on infrastructure improvement. Would that be something that would be a separate resolution, or is that something that we should add to this one? And please forgive my newness. I'm not 100% sure yet on this one.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I see Mr. Girl there with a comment. Mr. Molina, I don't know if he locked up on his Zoom. I don't know if everybody's having issues or whatnot, but was that Bert that had a last
Yeah.
comment?
Yeah,
Go
if
ahead,
I
Bert.
could real quick, if I remember that legislation was changed for counties, they had to be 300,000 above population, which excluded us from that motor fuel tax, being able to raise that. So that's why.
Okay.
You're right, Mr. Girl. That's what I was forgetting. And it would have to go through the legislation. It's not just a resolution through the county board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. And with that being said, is there any other communication
Dave,
on the past item?
no,
Thank you for taking the time to explain that to me.
Okay, so resolution 21-006, I believe I motioned and it was seconded by a person or two. Is there any other comments or communication on that item?
I think Mr. Webster had a comment. I heard him in the
Go
background.
ahead,
there.
Jim. Get in there.
yeah, I was just gonna follow up on what Bert said. I wasn't gonna say anything about it, but Bert brought it up and he's absolutely right. And the way that was drawn by our legislature said counties had to be over 300,000. That was intent by their part to limit the number of counties that could actually do that. So otherwise,
Exactly.
we would have been in that basket of counties that could do that. And you'll find out as we go on for some of the newer ones there that over the years, the legislature drafted a number of things that said that only counties over a certain population, and they used to use the number 1 million. Well, there's only one county that has a population over 1 million. So that's.
Well, I know that
my two
McHenry
cents.
County, I think McHenry County is the only county outside of the collar counties that has 300,000 or more. So maybe that's something that we should talk about is getting our legislators to drop that to 250 so that we have more options other than, options other than property taxes.
No, and thank you for that insight on that, Ms. Fellers, and I appreciate your diligence to look into those items as well.
Thank you.
So any other comment or discussion on our original resolution here? Okay, seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that resolution is approved. Moving on to other matters, I see nothing under the budgets or change orders or nothing. Under chairman's reports, the one thing I have is that saw some correspondence a while back about anticipating a move to a meeting in the boardroom up in the month of April. And I'd just like to get the sentiment of this committee as far as how we feel about meeting for our next Public Works Committee meeting, whenever that is determined to be, about meeting in room 303 with social distancing and masks and being in person. How's the committee feel about trying to move towards that in the next few weeks?
I'm good with that.
I would personally prefer that we stay on Zoom for a little while longer, maybe until later in the spring.
And I'd like to hear from everybody if I could, just to have a head count, I guess.
Sure, I could make a suggestion, because I was thinking like this, as we all are, and just throwing this out, and we're a number of county board members. Some of them are still do not want to go into the boardroom or whatever the case is, just don't want to go there. Saying that, what about if we were to simply have the committee meetings by Zoom, and then when it comes to the main county board meetings, we go to the boardroom?
And I just for my, I'm in favor of whatever the majority would like. I'm flexible, whether it's a part in person, a part Zoom, a part in person, a phone in, and whatever that is. But in my democracy, majority rules, and I would entertain that, so just like to hear from everybody on what their take is. And like I say, we have one or two absent, so their decision would be accredited as well.
All right, well, this would be sort of a compromise, yet the main goal is eventually get all of the meetings back in place.
I like that we have them on the committee meetings on Zoom, because it's a lot easier to attend, and we have higher attendance levels. And it also makes it so that we can call people in, as needed, and we have that ability. And it's just, quite frankly, it's still safer until we reach a higher level of vaccination saturation in Winnebago County. I would personally prefer that we use technology that we have available to us to stay as safe as possible. I like Mr. McCarthy's idea. I think that's a great compromise. If we do move into an in-person situation, I think that we should still allow people to Zoom in who are not comfortable in doing an in-person meeting.
Yeah, and for myself, I would allow whatever's capable, whatever, if it's a phone in, a Zoom, a half and half, a split, a partial, or whatever. I'm in favor of all of that. Just wanted to hear whatever the sentiment of the board was, or the committee was. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm fully vaccinated, so I'm not worried about myself, but other people are not. Zoom is ultra convenient. I've attended more committee meetings while we've been Zooming than I ever had before. No windshield time, it's super convenient, but I'm willing to do either way.
And thank you, Mr. Kelly. And just let it be known, I'm fine with Zoom forever. But like I say, if there comes a point, if there comes a point when, like I say, as we get through this transition of COVID vaccines and things change and we get through the board and everybody's more comfortable, I just wanted to throw it out there and get the take on the board as far as what you guys would like. And we can just play it by ear and go for Zoom till we hear different.
Mr. Chairman, this is Pat Thompson. I was in a meeting this afternoon with the caucus chairs and the county board chairman. And I think that there was a sentiment that until we have more board members vaccinated, that we hold off on mandating in-person meetings. So I think the boardroom will be ready after April 8th because they're replacing the sound system, but I didn't have any plans on installing plexiglass dividers in between county board members. I'd prefer not to do that. But I don't think we would be able to maintain 6 feet of social distancing in the county boardroom. So I think the feeling amongst the 2 caucus chairs, maybe you can talk about this in your caucus meeting, but that until all board members are vaccinated, that we hold off.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thompson. I'm all fine with that. And I'll move to Bert Girl next. Just let it be known, whenever the majority of the board members and the committee members feel that there's a need for something different, I'm in favor for whatever that is. Mr. Girl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I 100% agree with you. I agree with what Mr. Thompson said about being fully vaccinated, not wasting county taxpayer dollars on plexiglass, trying to reorganize desks. I think if we just give it till May 1st, when we all can get vaccinated, we'll have a level of normalcy that we can get back to. Other than that, I think we're just trying to rush to get back to normal. But all we have to do is just wait a few more months. We can all get vaccinated, then we can get back to normal. But we need to lead by example. And I think this is a great time for us to lead by example and say that we need to do the right things, even though that we want to get back to meeting in person. We still have to do the right thing and be responsible. So as far as it goes now, I'll be staying Zooming until I'm vaccinated. Hopefully that is soon, but I think we all need to get vaccinated. We need to send that message out to the folks that you need to get vaccinated. You need a social distance. You need to wear a mask until we can get that herd immunity, 70-80% of us vaccinated, then we'll return to normal. Other than that, we're just kind of fooling ourselves into a false sense of a normalcy here until we can actually get vaccinated. So thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Girl. And hold on a second. And just for the record, I'm all fine and well with just tiptoeing back into it. And for the record, myself, I've had my first initial shot a couple of weeks ago and look forward to my second here in the next coming weeks. Mrs. Fellers, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when I'm taking this into consideration, I'm taking into consideration more than just myself. I don't think it's a secret that I'm a single mom of 3 young children. I know that Mr. Salgado also has young children. Mr. Village has young children, and a couple of other board members. Mr. Neighbors has young children, but we also have, by the demographics of the board, people who are at high risk, people who are immunocompromised. There's no one, we can argue about this, but I promise you there's no one who wants to get back to normal more than this hugger over here. I want to hug everybody again. I want to see my children hug their grandparents. And that happens fast if we lead by example and if we can just be a little more patient and stressing again what Mr. Girl said about wearing masks, about staying socially distant, being prudent with finances. I don't want to spend money on plexiglass unless it's absolutely necessary. And so that's that.
All right, and thank you, Ms. Fellers. You kind of broke all up on us there and jumping up, but we did get the majority of what you had to say. Mr. Webster, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. My question was for Pat. Just yesterday, I was talking to our zoning staff, and my next zoning meeting will be a Zoom meeting as well. And I asked Troy if he knew if any of the other committees had gone to any live meetings yet. So that's my question for Pat Thompson, our administrator. Has anyone gone live with any of the committee meetings yet?
No, not yet, Jim. I think they're kind of waiting to see what the majority of the board wants to do, and
Sure.
but no committees have had in-person meetings yet.
Yeah. And that's my committee. When I polled my committee members, as Dave has just now, then that was the responses I got back. For it's 50-50. So we're going to continue doing Zoom meetings until I guess we get the green light all the way around.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
All right, and thinking, just to add to that, I'm comfortable with whatever the majority is comfortable with, and whatever the next step is, I'm all fine with whatever that may be. And with that, I would just like to move on to see if Mr. Molina has anything else he'd like to add on his engineer's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tassoni. I do have a couple things, real quick. We, I think it was last week, we got a check from ComEd. This is part of that energy savings rebates that we've done some projects with. It was for about $12,000. It was for when we replace a whole bunch of our street lights to LEDs. So this is the third check that we have received in the last, year and a half. The other thing is now IDOT has sent a circular letter requesting for Hsip Project, and what that is a highway safety improvement program. They do that every couple of years. The deadline to submit for that, it's early May. We're working on a few things, projects like some intersection improvements. Right now, one of the things that I am kind of big on, and it's on improving our shoulders so that we can put rumble strips along the shoulders to help with the departure accidents. Basically people living the highway, and so that's one of the things that we're going to apply for. Got a couple roads in mind. We also, it might include street lights at certain intersections and things like that. There's only $15 million for the entire state. So, when we apply, we don't always get the money, but we always try. And then the last thing, and I think I mentioned it at the last meeting, is that this week we're supposed to get our third allotment from the Rbi Funds, the Rebuild Illinois Funds. It's about $1.5 million. I haven't seen it yet, but it's supposed to be coming this week. I think the governor made an announcement last Thursday when he was in DeKalb. This will be the third installment. So last year we received two of them. And, we're using this funds. We haven't used them yet, but we're using them, for projects such as the Alpine Road Bridge. That would be what would pay for our local match, the 20%. That's how we're going to be doing the Rockton Road project that we're doing, 5 miles of road that we're doing later this year. There's supposed to be 6 allotments, so 2 allotments per year. And then all the money needs to be spent by July 1st, 2025. So that is our plan. We're gonna be using it, because we do need it.
Mr.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Did you add another item, Mr. Molina?
No, I think that's all I had.
Can you give us how is your communication going with NICOR and the relocation of the utilities and with your permitting process? How's that going?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. It's going well. It's going better than what it's been in the last few months. They are supposed to be starting work this week. So that's what they told me last Friday. So we're waiting to see. In the meantime, as you know, we put a hold to their permits until we see them out there. And by permits, I mean any work that they're doing on county right-of-ways, except for emergency projects.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Village.
On the state projects, on the things that are coming in from IDOT for safety, would that include Business 20 that goes through the center of Rockford, is that considered part of the state highway? Or are you only talking about, like the major highways?
That the safety projects that I mentioned, this is this is something different, but the state is that's a state project that they have. And I know it's been programmed, so I believe it's coming up, but it's in one of their roads, State Street.
Okay, I would really like to see us look into sidewalks on State Street and Business 20 as it goes through Rockford, because there have been so many pedestrian deaths on both Auburn and on State Street due to lack of sidewalks and people having to walk in the streets. Is that something that we could look at for a future project for the safety money?
Right. Thank you for the question. That is, again, it's up to the state, but my understanding, in the last few projects that the state has done through the urban area, they do include sidewalks, such as North Main, from Auburn going all the way up to Riverside, South Main, West State. They have been including, sidewalks. And then when they go through the city of Rockford, Lost Park, that's up to the municipality, to request it, and I believe sometimes to even pay for a portion of the cost.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to add to that. I know the state has a project on State Street that also includes our intersection with Perryville Road, and as part of that project, there is a bike path that is going to be constructed. Which will tie into the bike path that we have on Perryville Road at Argus Drive.
Okay, for clarification purposes, if a highway is within a municipality, is that not considered as part of the county's responsibility, even though it's physically still within the county?
No.
Right. No, it's not. Actually, it's just, it's how it is designated. It could be a state road, it could be a county road, or it could be a city street. The only thing that it cannot be, it's a township road. Once a municipality annexes land, that road, if it was a township road, it becomes a city street.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I'm learning as I go. Thanks, guys.
You're
All
welcome.
right, thank you. I see Mr. Webster, then Mr. Girl.
Yeah, okay. I guess for general knowledge, Highway 20 runs east and west through Rockford, okay? And so that was all a state highway to begin with. But as it runs through Rockford, the state, and I'm telling you this from my past background working for State Highway Department there. So on the east end of Rockford, for example, the state doesn't maintain only starting from Alpine Road going east, okay? And so from Alpine Road, I'm talking about East State Street now, I'm sorry, on East State Street. So from Alpine Road westward, that's the city's responsibility. The whole thing is there until you get to Springfield Avenue. Then once again, then at Springfield Avenue, then the IDOT maintains that from Springfield Avenue west all the way out to Freeport, okay? Going north-south through town, you have Highway 2, similar situation. So the state maintains Highway 2. Now going south, the state maintains it from where Clem Arboretum is, going southward all the way down to the airport. And then on the north end of Highway 2 now, the state picks that up at the old Singer Zone Center, and that goes north all the way up to South Beloit. So everything within there on state highways, on 2 and on 20, within those boundaries that I just gave you, the state doesn't maintain any of that. And so I think maybe that could be the same situation, not just the street, but with the sidewalk as well. I don't know if that's, but I just thought.
Mr. Webster, if I may add, those are still considered state highways. It's just that the state has agreements with the different cities for the maintenance, for plowing and things like that. But if they were to do a major improvement to those roads, the state is still responsible for the cost. That's my understanding.
Correct. And once they do those upgrades and so forth there, then the city generally is responsible for the rest. For the maintenance side, that is.
Okay, if you're done, Mr. Webster, I'll turn it over to Mr. Gurl. I think he has his hand up.
Thank you, Chairman. Just, I guess, just for discussion sake, but this recent package that was just passed by Congress where we're all getting a $1,400, and I can't think of the name of it, and I apologize, but the new care package, whatever it may be, our allocation, and as I read through that, would provide for wastewater and water sewage and that expansion. And I know this was something that we have discussed in the past with our previous engineer, Mr. Vanderworth, about expanding our water footprint from Baxter Road and in New Milford, and actually picking up customers to pay for our water system. And it would seem that this would be a great way for us to actually get that done by using some of this care package as either our 80-20 match or whatever the funds may be to expand that, put the water main under 39, I believe it was, and to actually expand that and open up our water customers. As Chairman Tassoni knows, water is usually the #1 revenue generator for a municipality. And this would be something that we could use money to and actually get money back, and we can pay for our water tower and water system that we put out at Baxter Road. So just an idea for discussion. I'm not sure what those numbers would be or exactly how we could use those funds to make up the downfall or our portion of that project.
I would just say thank you for that, Mr. Gurl. And yeah, if there's any fine print or reading between the lines that some of those COVID funds could be utilized to improve that water utility out there, I'd be in favor of it. And I heard Mrs. Fellers, and then I'll go Mr. Kelly.
Right. So I agree with Mr. Gurl, and I actually think that we should be using as much as we can allocate to water modernization and bringing clean water. There's already a water modernization project that's going through at the state and federal level, and we could use this to augment it and to speed it up. But another interesting something that we should also keep in mind is that it's considered an open hole project, meaning that when we open the ground to do the water modernization or to expand our water footprint, we could also lay high-speed fiber broadband. So this would give us the ability to not only modernize and bring safer water, but also to expand our broadband footprint further out from the city and out into the county. The digital divide is one that is really affecting people, and as we've seen in these meetings right here. And we have an ability to get a really big bang for our buck because it means that we only have to do things once instead of twice. And that's something that I've been talking to local labor and to the city about, and to people in the state. And I just wasn't ready to bring it forward as new business yet. I wanted to cross more T's and dot more I's. But I know that Region 1 has a plan for broadband, and by piggybacking on water modernization and expansion, we can save the county tens of millions of dollars and get a huge impact and get people to work.
And thank you for that addition to that, Mrs. Fellers. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Chairman. My district, I don't know yet. There's supposed to have been a study at some point to determine how much of a demand there was in New Milford for the water service. Without that demand, it doesn't make much sense to spend a lot of money. There's going to be a crush to spend $54 million. We shouldn't be foolhardy in the rush to spend that money. Don't let it burn a hole in your pocket.
No, and I would agree with that, Mr. Kelly. Let's see, am I on there? Mute. Okay, I would agree with that too, Mr. Kelly. And just say that if this money isn't, if there's some dollars that if they're not spent, they go back to the feds, then maybe we just look at, extending our opportunities and seeing what we can do that would accommodate our needs in the future. That's all. Okay, anybody else out there with any questions or comments regarding any subject matter?
Move to adjourn.
Hold on, hold to that thought, Mr. Webster. Just one other comment. And just for Mr. Molina and I would just like to say, I'd like to see us try to get on a pattern of Public Works Committee meetings being the second and third Tuesdays of each month regarding any emergencies or time-sensitive issues. And if possible, less than that. And I would just like to say thank you for everybody's attendance. And hearing none, I would entertain Mr. Webster's motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Yes.
So moved.
Seconded by, I see Mr. Kelly, Mr. McCarthy, and Mr. Girl, all in favor.